What's up, Mortgage Coach community? Dave Savage, and today I'm interviewing Rick Bettencourt. What's up, Rick?
What's going on, Dave? Good to see you, buddy.
Good to see you, brother. Well, thank you, first of all, for your service to our industry as president of NAM. I know that you love to support it, but it's also a lot of work. So thank you, brother.
Well, I always say the same thing. Whenever I'm talking with LOs, mortgage professionals out there, I say the same thing all the time. I reiterate it all the time. Always better to be part of the business, not just in the business. And that what better way than to volunteer with NAMB and get involved with the regulatory compliance and all that other minutia that's important that keeps us in business.
Well, anyways, appreciate your service, man.
Thanks,
and everybody who wants to learn more about that or be part of it, Rick and I will put a link down below so you can check it out. So Rick, you have a heart to serve military. A lot of, by the way, what percentage of your production is serving military families?
Proud to say in 2019, right now I'm tracking to hit about 88% VA right now up in New England.
So 90% of your production is VA. What kind of production do you do, just so everybody has a sense of your volume?
2018, I finished at like 41.5 million. Right now tracking to hit probably 48 to 50 million. So we're having a good year.
You're killing it. And here's the deal. Not only does this man do a lot of production, profitable production, he delivers a total cost analysis to every family. So I want this interview to be, how you use Mortgage Coach to help military families make better decisions. So I guess let's just start with, why do you, make sure all your clients get a total cost analysis?
Especially with VA. So a lot of our veterans are online shopping all the time, hitting some of the larger cost centers, hitting some of the larger well-known organizations. And I just find a lot of the time, those loan estimates that they get are just loaded with fees. So what better way to show and provide, strong evidence that, listen, we've got a better option. Check out my TCA and then compare it with what you have right now to what we're offering you for this particular transaction, or 4 different transactions. Sometimes I'll do one house 4 different ways, as I'm going to show you. Sometimes it'll be 4 different houses, but I use it primarily to show the fact that we don't charge origination fees. My rates are competitive. We'll put the video in there sometimes, or an audio at least if I'm on my phone or whatever it might be. And they just love it. They eat it all up. And a lot of the most recent one, I did a go-to meeting, shared my TCA, and they were able to take a look at that. And so what better way to get them to understand that you're offering an incredible opportunity than using your system of TCAs?
Love it. So guys, delivering advice in a way that's a competitive advantage. So walk us through what the sales experience, the educational experience is like, and then let's pull up a total cost analysis to see how you serve the family. So what is your typical sales process? And I assume most of it's over the phone. They're not coming into your office.
Yeah, I get a lot of inbound traffic because of the outreach work that I do, education, real estate agents, education, military home loan shows. So they'll call me, and right away, when you're working with a veteran, you're not a loan officer. I think a loan officer is just it's a disgusting name. I don't like using the word loan officer. I'm a mortgage professional, but when I'm working with a veteran, I'm a benefit administrator, because this is a VA home loan benefit. This is a federal benefit that they earn through their honorable service. So I become a benefit administrator. And I think if you're an LO out there working with veterans and you think that way, you'll perform better, because you're going to take that much better care of that veteran, because you're helping them use their benefit. And really, we quickly go into time of service, rank, branch of service. Was it active duty? Was it reserve or Army National Guard? To quantify whether they have the necessary time in. Do they have a service-connected disability? Once we rifle through that, I don't like to dive right into sales. I like to dive right into personal, creating a commonality, talking about the veteran, explaining my family's military history. And I try to make them as comfortable as possible, because they're about ready to share some very private information with me. And a lot of times, I'll even refer to the individual with their rank. So I'm working with a major right now, and every email, every phone call, every text, it's always been major so-and-so. And I think that they appreciate that. So it's really, for me, it's about creating an experience, not just creating an app or taking an application.
Well, I hope everybody got, at a high level, he sees himself as a benefit administrator and he is connecting with that military family, that military leader, in a way that's on point. It's different. So for all you loan officers out there, there is a better way just to show up strategically. So let's get into the total cost analysis, because I think one of the things that makes it so different and so powerful is you're not just showing here's your rate and here's your cash to close. You're showing them, the impact over different periods of time that matter. And I've interviewed enough mortgage professionals to know that, sometimes with the military family, it's not looking at the loan over 5 years, 30 years. Sometimes it's looking at it over 2 years, because they don't want to, they don't want to get, you got to make sure so why don't you walk us through, like, what does your typical total cost analysis experience look like, and what do you focus on?
So a lot of times I have two. I'll have, the example I'm going to show you here in a second, I'll bring it up. This veteran, it's funny. Consumers in general think that a large outlay of capital, $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 has this tremendous impact on the monthly payment, and it really doesn't. So this particular veteran was looking at, hey, Rick, we're sensitive about our price point or our monthly payment. This is what we're thinking about doing. I was able to show him through your TCA, like, listen, 0, 3, or 5% down is going to have, not as much of an impact as you think it would be. And so before you go ahead and spend that extra funds, think about it, because a lot of times our active duty might PCS out, or permanent change of station. So do I want them to outlay $15,000, $20,000 of capital if they're only going to save $120 a month, when a lot of times it's being paid for by either BAH or they have a service-connected disability that helps cover the difference. So we try to look at everything three-dimensionally. It's not just a one-dimensional approach when you're working with a veteran. You have to look at it from multiple facets, multiple angles. And so that's what we did in this particular total cost analysis. Want me to bring that up for you?
Yeah, bring it up. And then you said three-dimensional. If you could just, for mortgage professionals, what are those dimensions? If you could just kind of give us the checklist of different dimensions.
Yeah, first dimension obviously is the transaction, right? That's you're going into the transaction. I'm buying a house. That's dimension one. Dimension two is the family. It's the family piece of the military lifestyle. What is the ultimate goal? How long are they going to be here? Are they staying active duty? Are they veterans and this is their first home? So what is the actual status of where they are right now in their personal life? And obviously the third dimension of it is listen, where are you right now? Kind of like physically, mentally, emotionally. Are you ready to actually take on this responsibility for owning a home? The credit situation, what's the likelihood of residual income having enough to take care of the debt that's there? So we spend a lot of time talking about just the overall experience of buying the house. Buying the house is one thing. Your family, where you're planning on going, what you're planning on doing, how long you're going to be there is part two. And part three is, that mental, physical, emotional piece. Are you ready to, take on this new endeavor, which is buying a house? And I think the mental, physical, emotional part is something that we don't do enough of as mortgage professionals, to kind of get like, hey, sure, you might be able to buy one, but are you ready to buy one from a physical, mental, emotional point, not just a financial piece? So I try to, sometimes my conversations will be about 35 to 45 minutes, almost an hour, just not even talking about buying the house. It's just sharing the entire story.
Love it. Well, thank you for that. Well, let's get into the specific total cost analysis. I'll ask some questions around it as you show it. Also, folks, Rick had agreed before when we were doing our prep on this, that anybody that comments down below, so you're watching this in either YouTube or you're watching it in our Facebook group, I'm going to pick someone that, whether you ask the best question, what was your big takeaway from this? What was a quote that Rick said that you loved? The best comment is going to get a personal coaching session for 20 minutes with Rick. So comment down below with either questions, and I'm going to pick the one that I like the best. You're going to get a conversation, 20-minute coaching session with Rick. Ask him anything you want, and he'll help you go to the next level serving military families. So show us what we're looking at here, man.
So this is a firefighter from New Hampshire. He was an active duty veteran, spent 4 years, and then so he had all the necessary requirements for the COE. And so he wanted to buy a house, and they were selling a new property, they were selling a house, buying a new one. The house that they were selling, They didn't get as much as they wanted for it, so they were going to be weak on assets. They didn't have as much of a down payment. So they said, well, gee, Rick, what are the options for this VA loan at 0 down, 3 down, and 5 down? This is also a little bit unique because this had a subsequent use fee to it as well, too. So there was a lot of different moving pieces here, selling a house, buying a new one. And I always try to give 3 options whenever I'm working with a consumer or a veteran. Even if it's 100% financing, I like to show, especially for a veteran that doesn't have a disability, what happens if you hit that 5% and you can drop the funding fee from 3.3 to 1.5. So this is kind of what we set up almost every time I have a veteran that's looking for options and wants some more information. So 369.9, nice property up here in New England, loan amounts. Our rates are pretty aggressive right now. But and then what they were focusing on was the cash to close and the difference in the monthly payment. And ultimately they ended up going with 100% financing, and the payment was about $115 more. But that worked out good for them, and that way they were able to keep, even though they had a subsequent use fee of 3.3%, they were able to look at this, make a decision based on actual data that was in front of them, because it wasn't really $100 that made the difference that year, on that particular transaction. So worked out good.
Love it. So guys, I want you to look also, it shows the difference over 5 years, shows the difference over 15 years. When serving military families, what are the typical windows of time that you're looking at decisions to help give them clarity and confidence?
I usually try to stay within that 5-year range, because if I'm working with a discharged veteran, most likely they're probably going to be here for a long period of time. If they're a young veteran that just ETS'd out, or if they're a young veteran that have been renting a while, now they're going in their first home, the stats just better than I do, Dave. It's 5 to 7 years is typically their first home. They may refinance once or twice during that time. But if I'm working with active duty, it's really a 1 to 3 year plan, because if they're active duty and they could be looking at a permanent change of station. Just had one today. Veteran, this is a great example to your point. I did a purchase for a condo of an active duty Coast Guard sailor last year, Lynn, Massachusetts. Well, wouldn't you know, he's already been ordered to a new station down in North Carolina. So we got his orders. He's moving down there. So for him, when he bought the house, it was 100% financing. He's like, there's no way I'm putting money down because I may not get that back. I may not want to sell it. I might want to keep it. So he wasn't sure. Now he's going to North Carolina. He'll be able to use his VA home loan again for 100% financing. And he doesn't really care about the subsequent use fee, because he's going to rent this property out in this town in Mass for a good chunk load of money. So active duty, you're looking 1 to 3 years. Veteran that's been discharged and is in their civilian life, your typical 5 to 7.
So just make note on that, guys. Helping active military, 1 to 3. So your intern might be 12 months from now or 24 months from now. And then your long-term might be 36 or 48 months. So be super thoughtful about that. That's how you help people make great decisions. I noticed your picture at the bottom. You like the new social survey integration?
This is so cool, man. I think it was what a great relationship you guys have with Social Survey and TCA, Mortgage Coach. I found out about this about a week or 2 ago, and I was just totally stoked. It's got my reviews up there, my rank, my 5-star. What another great way to reinforce professionalism, integrity, and experience by putting up your Social Survey link inside the TCA. So that just drives it home. That you know what you're doing, and your clients have been happy with you, right? So I thought it was awesome, and I love sending them out. And so bravo to you, Mr. Savage, for putting that together, dude.
Well, hey, bravo to the Mortgage Coach team, product team,
yep,
partnership team. We got an amazing team here. And thank you, Social Survey. So I want to break this down. Go to the top. You'll notice on the left hand, you got Rick's picture. You got his company logo. So personally branded advice. And it's advice because it's not just showing rate, payment, and cash to close. It's advice because it's showing different windows of time. and it's showing it with graphs and charts. Graphs and charts, different windows and times. That makes it advice. And now social proof, you know, your reviews, your online reviews, that makes me think. So remember earlier I asked, whoever puts the best comment below gets a 20-minute coaching session with Rick. If anybody else is using this social survey review, take a screenshot of your review, put that down below, hint, hint, that might be the winner. So if you're checking this out, put that down below. So Rick, you can go ahead and stop sharing your screen real quick. Let's wrap it up.
Hey man, I just want to say one other piece to you mortgage professionals out there that love to kind of post social media. Dave is covering your butt right now, guys, because with this TCA, you're compliant. You have your APR, you have your points, your fees, your terms, conditions. So you can screenshot this. You can post it on social media if you want to publish rates, and it's well within the compliance piece of your company. So he's also covering your butt that way. So great job when it comes to the compliance piece, Dave. Thank you.
Well, hey, and again, to the Mortgage Coach team, and think about that, guys. This is, to Rick's point, this is not only great advice, not only is it branded, it's shareable, you can add a video to it, but it is a compliant pre-LE experience.
Absolutely.
So if you're using your own Excel spreadsheet, if you're typing this up in an email, you know, chances are it's not compliant. Yeah. So guys, this is good for production, it's good for profits, and it's good for compliance. So Rick, as we wrap this up, you know, you're a leader in the industry, man. You're president of NAM. You're one of America's most successful loan officers. You know, the top 1% are people that are closing like over 20 million. You're going to do 50. So I mean, you're killing it. What advice do you have for the Mortgage Coach community, and what advice do you have for new loan officers getting into the business today?
For the Mortgage Coach community, I see all the people in here, the unbelievable mortgage professionals. I love listening to the podcast, love listening to some of the episodes. I mean, just be real, man. You know, it's just continue to do what's best at the end of the day. For me, the goal is putting more veterans in homes, right? And at the end of the day, it's all about putting the consumer before everything else, right? We have too many people sometimes that it's all about units and numbers and magazines and awards and all that. Listen, at the end of the day, the way I believe, at the end of the day, the first and most important piece of the puzzle is the consumer. So focus on that. Even for us dogs that have been doing this for 20 years, if you're new, I would say in today's day and age, any LO, any mortgage professional, any mortgage advisor can do a 30-year fixed mortgage. If you can't do one, you should just not be in the business. Try to find something that differentiates yourself amongst your competition. Become a niche player in the market, I call it. So I'm the VA guy in New England. Maybe you're the Reno girl down in the Southwest, or maybe you're doing, open house specialists or whatever it is. I just think if you diversify yourself, you kind of create from diversify from where everybody else is and set up a niche and focus on that. What I like about the niche is I find you're going to miss the highs and the lows. You're going to stay right in that middle because you're not doing what everybody else does. Crushing right straight through.
So guys, there are riches in niches. That was awesome advice, brother. So for all you new loan officers, have a niche. For all you, been doing it forever, what's your niche? And make sure you're crushing your niche. And so that was spectacular advice, brother. So anything else before we wrap up today's call?
Hey man, huge opportunity to help our military. Only about 13.7% of all veterans in the U.S. are using their VA home loan benefit right now. And VA business, I was just at the VA conference in San Antonio 2 weeks ago. VA business right now, since 2007, Dave, is up 545%, and it's going to keep going. So if you're out there and you're looking to kind of, what better way than to help somebody who's done so much for us? So huge opportunity in the VA market.
So I just thought of one more question, because you were closing up, like you're using Mortgage Coach. I mean, you've been doing this for 20 plus years, you've been doing it, but you're high touch and you're high tech. So any advice for loan officers out there? Because one of my biggest challenges, one of the reasons why I do interviews like this, is to get loan officers to adopt Mortgage Coach. They're like, oh, it takes me too much time. Oh, my clients it's too much information. They don't need that. Any advice you have for just that? Loan officers that do it forever, not highly technical, but just a reason why they should adopt Mortgage Coach, aside from just closing more loans and being more compliant. Anything else come to mind to push that non-techie loan officer to get a little bit technical?
I mean, get a little technical. I mean, you're asking what better way than to get personal, right? So you can do a quick little 30-second video and they open it up on their phone and they see your face. So you're going to be asking very personal, sensitive questions, and then they see who you are and they hear what you're saying, that you're being honest about it. And then that way you can make a better connection with that consumer. There's no, I mean, I think every old dog can be taught new tricks, and even the most untechy people can learn how to use this. But I don't know, I just find that there's so much drive to make everything so non-personal in the mortgage space now. Some of this technology that's going out there, like all those rumors of these companies are going to try to take over LOs. Well, let's make it real. Let's be personal about it. And Mortgage Coach allows us to do that. Your team's been phenomenal. And whether you want to do audio or video, you can do it right from your phone. I've done it in my truck before, so it's awesome.
Thank you, brother. So if you are serving a military family, you need to give them a total cost analysis. If you don't know how to do one, check out our website. If you're not on the Mortgage Coach team, down below, there'll be a link to get on the Mortgage Coach team. Rick, you're the man, brother. Appreciate you, man.
Thanks, brother.
Thanks for all the value you bring to the community and everything you do for our industry, man.
You keep it up. You're doing a great job as well, you and your team, man.
All right, thanks, man.